It's an honor to be here with my esteemed colleagues here at the end of the summer, the beginning of a new year for us too, and thank you for the update on our standing in the university. I have had separate conversations with you colleagues throughout the years about LinkedIn, and I have found that either, you would think that with the progress and the popularity of social media, some people would already be in LinkedIn and use it, but really the use is really across the board. Some people still don't have a profile, or they don't care about it. Other people use it on occasion, and other people are very active, like our dean. So I'm going to get started with a PowerPoint presentation that shows some of the features, but then I'm going to go over to my own profile and show you how to navigate. And this all addresses that issue that the dean brought up about refilling the pipeline, because we're looking at a population, and I'll get into that very soon, about the age group that we're dealing with as well, our students as well as ourselves, and looking at what's good for the students, but what's really good for all of you. As educational professionals, how can you really use this site to maximize your own expertise and share what you have here at the school? So let me navigate to my own shared screen and with my presentation. So I'm going back and forth a bit. So let me know you can see this. Can you see it? Do I get a thumbs up? Because sometimes it's okay, good. All right, thank you, Jamshid, for nodding your head. And then I thought we were going to have Q&A after, but let me get started here and see how this works. Okay, so my little agenda for the workshop is the introduction a little bit to myself. Gerhard introduced me. Yes, I have been teaching here as an adjunct for about 10 or 11 years now, both domestically as well as internationally with the Austrian group. And then why the LinkedIn workshop? Well, Gerhard was talking to me about his own thoughts about social media and how we can really make it work for all of our faculty here and for the school. The two go together, and the students. It's a whole group of interconnectedness here that can really benefit from your use of LinkedIn in a professional way. And there are a lot of features, and LinkedIn keeps growing and changing, as do many of these social communities and networks. They evolve over time. And LinkedIn is the same. It's changed its features and some of the benefits as well, and learning opportunities for professionals. And then I'm going to show you how to connect, if you haven't already, or follow the different CLU sites on LinkedIn. There's the university page, there's the School of Management Showcase page, there's the School of Management group, and of course there's the alumni group as well. So I'm going to show you how to connect with those. And then also our own LinkedIn CLU School of Management case study. I'll show you that, and some Q&A. Okay, this is just the basic information about LinkedIn. We want to level set here because I know that some of you are very knowledgeable and some still don't quite understand LinkedIn, but it is, for the most part, the social network for the professionals and for decision makers. That's why it's so important to be there. The caliber that are of educators our school has really needs to be in this space. And it's about connections. Facebook is about friends, Twitter about followers, but we call the connections, or our family or community, within LinkedIn Connections. And it has grown, and it has spiked in the last year because of the digital use, because of the pandemic. It's now at 722 million registered users in over 200 countries around the world. So we're approaching 1 billion users on this professional site. So think about the scope of what you post or write on LinkedIn as the reach that it gets. And just a comment here about posting and some of these terms I'm going to be using. Posting is really writing, what you write. And then hashtags, we're going to talk about that and what the significance of hashtags are, and the pound sign, what that means, and how it is as an aggregator of conversation. But, and again, LinkedIn, it has more than 24 different languages. You can have an English profile, and then you can also make another language profile. So with some of you having multiple languages, you can have literally multiple LinkedIn profiles, imaging the same, but in different languages. So think about that, expanding your reach as well exponentially. We do know now that executives from all Fortune 500 companies are on LinkedIn. So again, high level, high net worth decision makers. And then again, for recruiters, over 97% of recruiters and headhunters use LinkedIn to find talent. Now, I'm not saying that any of you need to leave it all, but if you're looking for talent to help you on a project, definitely consider LinkedIn for finding talent. And we're going to get into that too. Another couple of slides just on the basics, okay? And then when you consider that compared to the other social networks that are out there, LinkedIn is still one of the primary sites for business transactioning, business to business, business to consumer. See that Facebook is the highest for both. LinkedIn is second for business to business. So this is something also very strong with business to consumer. So another reason why we want to consider this. And then the combination here of business and education. This is where it really works well for us. It's not just for business, it's higher education. Higher education in LinkedIn is the most prevalent among all the other social networks. Think about this. You have the Fortune 500 companies I just mentioned. You have a very highly educated professional community and professionals specifically in higher education. So it's a really great combination for all of us to use to our advantage. So when you think about it as for the benefits to the students, I'll just talk about this first because we want to fill that pipeline again, and because this students, and I also teach at another university and I deal with undergraduates there, they are on social media all the time. And the digital nature of their consuming material is through the digital stream. And LinkedIn has created a whole benefits and features for students now. They drop down their age qualification to 13 years old because they know that students in junior high and high school are starting to look at colleges, not only in high school, but also in junior high. So we want to be in a place where these students are looking for college opportunities at the very earliest stages. So the advantages for students, potential students, is we build department awareness for our school of management. And then it can become a recruiting tool. And it also is good for current student enrichment. LinkedIn added a learning section or learning module that students could also possibly pay. I'll talk about that later, for additional learning opportunities represented within the LinkedIn ecosystem. So LinkedIn Learning is a new feature they've added. Student employment opportunities and reference source. This is really huge for parents when they're looking for universities for their children. What's the employment rate once they graduate? Are they going to get a job? Well, if we are participating as educators in LinkedIn, we can look, our connections can help us know about job opportunities, and then that can benefit the students because we can refer them to those opportunities. And I'm going to show you some examples that come up as well. Alumni engagement, keeping in touch with our former students, that's really important too. And if they see a post or something that you put on there, they can connect with you, comment, engage as any sort of interaction that happens. And so you continue the relationship because, as you know, in business particularly, it's about relationships. Whether we love the fact that we can, nothing beats an in-person shaking a person's hand, conversation eye to eye in the same room. But because of what's happened with the pandemic and because businesses are becoming more digital and they're not all going back to in-person work environments, the digital stream now is becoming more prominent all the time, especially with Zoom and these other features that give us a sense of 3D. We're still 2D, but 3D, a little bit, making it up as we go. But the engagement and relationship building is still so important, especially when it comes to business and when it comes to recruiting as well. And then for students, you can use your connections on LinkedIn to find guest speakers for your classes. Think about that too. Wouldn't it be nice to be able to have a guest speaker and inviting someone to show up and do it virtually in your class or show up physically in person, and wondering who could discuss a topic that's really important, a timely topic that's going on these days. And everything that we see happening in our world really has a business aspect to it, whether it's diversity or whether it's digital and change, everything has a sort of business element to it. So using it as a speaker resource. This is for the students. Now I'm going to go over to how it's going to benefit all of you. Think about this. Look at all these ways. I bet you probably didn't even think about all the opportunities that could be presented to you to benefit you by being involved on LinkedIn. So I'm just going to go through the list, but with a little bit of an explanation of why this is important. Well, establish your own thought leadership. One of the things I really have enjoyed and continue to enjoy about teaching as an adjunct at CLU is that you all have really great perspectives. And you're so knowledgeable, and you write scholarly papers, and you're always out there sharing your expertise. Well, why not put it in a post, a simple post, or an article on LinkedIn? I'm going to show you how simple it is to do an article on LinkedIn, but establish outside of our wonderful world, your thought leadership, and collaborate with like-minded educators, not just here, but other places too. And globally, we have access globally to other professors. And you can discover new teaching and grant opportunities that if you're working on some special projects. Learn about new innovative programs, products relevant to your area, services, and so on, to your area of expertise is what I mean there. Networking, absolutely an important networking opportunities, since we can't always go to conferences, and we haven't been able to go to conferences for a while, but use it as your networking arm. And join peer organizations with groups as well. The education and enhancement with LinkedIn Learning isn't just for students, it's for professionals too. Refreshing, and I'm going to show you that slide soon, refresh your own skills or introduce new skills to your own skill set that you have through LinkedIn Learning. Now, this is a big part, number 8. And this is what's true about social media that is kind of baffles some people still, but it's about discovery. Besides the relationships that you create with people you connect with, it's about you being discovered. And that means that in the digital realm, search engine optimization, your name, your hashtags that you put next to subjects, be it hashtag CLU SOM, hashtag Cal Lutheran, hashtag talent recruitment, hashtag IT, whatever your specialty is, or hashtag finance or financial advising, whatever that is. I'm going to explain a little bit about the hashtag because this is about being discovered. Think about the back of a book. A book has the index, and the index aggregates everything about a particular topic on the pages where you can find that topic to be discussed. In social media, the hashtag, that #, is like an index aggregator. For example, if one of the professors did a post or wrote a story and then put at the end hashtag CLU SOM, and then another professor wrote another article, a completely different topic, but still put hashtag CLU SOM, when a student or a business or a person on LinkedIn goes into the search bar and does hashtag CLU or hashtag Cal Lutheran, these sort of hashtags, that hashtag in the search window aggregates everything, it pulls it all together and brings up everything that has that hashtag CLU or hashtag Cal Lutheran. And that is like a Google search, but it's within the LinkedIn ecosystem. So that's how you get discovered. You get discovered, and when you get discovered, when your thought leadership is established and you're sharing your information about what you have, special perspectives that you have, then you can be found for media interviews, for speaking engagements, conferences, consulting opportunities, and additional teaching opportunities or guest lectures. So that's one of the things about being in the social media realm with LinkedIn, is that you can get discovered, and that's a very important thing in how you do it. And we'll get into those points of how that happens. There, publish articles that showcase your groundbreaking work and so on, and use it. Again, this is free. A lot of it is free. Some of LinkedIn you pay for a premium service, but believe me, I've been able to get along very well with just the free services, using it as your communication network, using it for free events, doing research and polls and surveys. I think one of the strongest uses of social media, and especially within LinkedIn, is using it for research on competitors. Sure, you can go onto other systems to look for other information about your competitors, but oftentimes you can find out a lot of information about what employees are saying about the company, what the conversation within the company is taking place in social media that you wouldn't see in a report, on an economic report, or in a financial report. You can find out other things by going on social media to do research. If you don't even post anything, using social media to do research is one of the strongest features that it has. Then you can also drive people to your own website or project that you have as well. So again, I'm going to move on with this. So before I get further on into the benefits for you, it's specific benefits, I just want to make sure that all of you are connecting if you haven't already. And I'm going to give you links. One of the slides that I have here, and by the way, this is going to be available to you. I'm going to be PDFing this presentation so you can have it at the end of this workshop. You can please connect with CLU, the university, on LinkedIn if you haven't already. Please connect with the alumni group if you haven't already by following. You can click following. See, it says follow, following. The School of Management, please follow them in the showcase page and be part of the group, School of Management group, okay? And this is why I think it's really important for you. Just right now, I just want to make sure that you do this. And like I said, I have a slide at the end that has the links to all these different CLU related pages and groups so that you can very easily connect with them. And just a little comment about the groups before I get on to actually doing the tour of my profiles to show you how to navigate. That groups are open, they come open, or they're private. You have to be approved by an admin. And you can even start your own group. And you can start your own discussion topic if you choose to do that. As a thought leader, you may want to try that. If you don't find a group that's really what you're looking for, why not start your own group? And then you can comment as well. And some of the features in LinkedIn, one of the parameters is that as an individual, you cannot be part of more than 100 groups per user. But that should be substantial for you to be a part of anyway. So each person can join a group. And if you do, no more than 100 groups. I'm going to tell you a little bit more about groups. What's important about groups, let's say, so I belong to a lot of marketing groups, and I'm going to show you an example later on, or soon coming up, is that if you want to pay for LinkedIn, it's a certain amount of money, a premium feature that you pay, and you're able to message people outside of your connections. But groups, you can join a professional group, but being within that group, you can for free contact the people within the group. So that's one of the benefits of being inside professional groups. You can, once you're accepted or you're part of a group, then you can contact the other people within that group and connect with them. They can connect with you for free. That's a benefit. You don't have to pay for a service. So joining groups, really great for the networking and interesting articles and learning and conversations and contributing ideas. But the other benefit of being within a group is that you can contact the members for free and you don't have to pay. So that's another thing to think about. Now, what I'd like to do now is I'm going to switch to my profile and do a little bit of navigating, okay? So bear with me. I'll stop here and then go to my profile. And I see people are chatting, but again, we're going to ask you for hello, everybody. Okay. All right. Here is my LinkedIn profile. And what I'm going to do here is, I'm going to search for Cal Lutheran University. Here we are, California Lutheran University. The profile page, or the page I should say, on LinkedIn for the school. So we have a series of tabs here. And of course, we have the story about the university. Please be sure to follow it if you haven't already. And we have the story about the school, a little bit, and then a little bit more historical information, the posts or the updates and the messages that the school itself has been putting up about the university. This is an interesting thing here about jobs. And I'm not even sure if you're aware of this, but I'm going to click on it because, again, one of the benefits of being at CLU and part of the School of Management is that the job factor. Can my my child get a job, but also it's for about ourselves and our colleagues and our friends. If we can enhance their employment, it all benefits the school, being a source of employment, a source of dynamic interaction with the community. So I'm going to show you what we have here, just as an example for jobs, okay? And see, here's some recently posted jobs. You might not even be aware of these postings yourself. And then when there are more jobs, you can check these out as well. And with a whole variety of departments and needs at the school. And so there might be opportunities, again, like I said, for yourself or for a friend, for a colleague, for a student, a former student. Connecting with alumni. Here's another opportunity to look at here and the information about the alumni. 24,000 alumni for the school. And if you're looking for someone, I'm going to do a search here. When I was in the EMBA program, one of my cohort was Josh Perez. So I'm going to check here, and he shows up down at the bottom. So then I can find people, connect with them. Josh is a really wonderful person, and used to be with the FBI, worked at Disney for a while, and now is head of HR at the water district for the county of Ventura. Events. If we want to know what's going on at the school, this is another way, because one of the issues that can happen within a university is like, what's going on? How do we know what's happening at the school? Well, the school posts upcoming events and past events. So I'm also, since this is the home page for Cal Lutheran, you can see what's going on. Again, information source. I'm going to get to yourself, to what we can do to help benefit each other, and you do your own posting. But I want to make sure you know what we're doing at the School of Management's presence. This is the showcase page for Cal Lutheran University, for the School of Management at the school. And here we have a lot of activity, page posts, and it gives a little bit more detail on the showcase page versus the group. It really has a really great description of what the school is about. We see posts already here. And you know what, if you're not of the type or feel like you're really ready to write anything and post on LinkedIn, the one you can do is, we call it engagement. You can have a reaction that you like, or you can actually share. And Regina was part of my cohort, so I'm going to be sharing this post about her, and I don't have to write anything at all. I can just share it with my connections too. And then that all shows up as activity on your site as well. So I'm going to go from here over to this grid up here. Okay, you see this little grid, this matrix? I'm going to first go here back to my account, and then I'm going to click on this. And what we have here are some options for the learning. I mentioned LinkedIn Learning before, so I'm going to click on this LinkedIn Learning link. And what it has done is it aggregates some learning opportunities based on my own profile. But what it also shows us what's trending now in some of the learning opportunities here on within LinkedIn. We have teaching online, Learn Six Sigma. We also have opportunities for maybe you want to do something in your here, engineering drawing for manufacturing, selling with empathy during uncertain times. There's a whole variety of learning modules that you can use for yourself or for your students. And so this is a feature that is something to consider if you want to enhance your own learning process itself. And that's under the LinkedIn, under the learning. Here and then I have a slide about this. The learning modules charge, there's a fee for them, approximately like maybe $17 to as much as $159. And here's a thought for maybe you doing or hosting one of these LinkedIn learning modules as well. Well, Insights itself is about talent acquisition. It's if you're searching for, this is maybe Vlad in his world and in his teaching about talent management, we might be interested in that, but that's where LinkedIn has a feature for that. And then, oh boy, I'm hearing some feedback. Okay, so then posting a job, finding leads. So here's the groups. See, the top of my group, Cal Lutheran School of Management. This is where you can find a group. You would click search in here and look for, type in a group that you might be interested in, whether it be for talent management or financial advising. And then you can see the groups that come up. and you can join or apply to those and to be in those groups. And then you have the opportunity to interact with these individuals as well and add them to your community. And then ProFinder is also a helpful piece. That's if you're working on a project and you're trying to find someone who can help you maybe do research or be a graphic designer or help you with a grant writer. You search in here for a skill within the professional community of LinkedIn and connect with someone who might be able to collaborate with you on a project. So that's where ProFinder is. Salary is kind of a fun little button that I won't hit now, but it shows you comp salaries for your profession or other professions that are out there as well. So I'm going to go back to my PowerPoint because I do want to make sure I get to your questions. And let me see, hold on here. I will. We have our students from Austria who are posting their successes. So let me get back to my world here. Okay. Let me go back to my PowerPoint. Okay, so we talked about that part here. Okay, I mentioned LinkedIn Learning. The matrix I just showed you because I want to make sure you have this when I give this to you to keep you have this for reference. I talked about hashtags. Oh, this is about the posts and hashtags to show you how they work. So these are two examples of posts that were done out from the School of Management showcase page, and see how the hashtags say CLU, School of Management, Woman of the Year, and here we have some for Cal Lutheran again. So remembering to do hashtags at the end of your writing your post, because that is really going to help aggregate the information together. And now what I also want to do is show you, this is the case study I want to show you for Gerhard. And Gerhard, we talked about this a little bit, and I'm going to get into how you use this. And I'm also going to go back to my profile to show the article, way to write an article, and that'll be part of the Q&A that I can get to. So our dean is a really great example of how to use social media, specifically LinkedIn. He started in December of 2011. And what he said he likes the most is that it connects the real world with the expensive social media world. And that is absolutely true. We have like that near, 722 million people who are on LinkedIn. It just really, it augments it. It exponentially increases our potential reach. So he really was, since you think about it, 2011, and he said that he actually started posting more in 2019, which was only 2 years ago. But since he did that, it has doubled his connections to almost 10,000 people. And that is a real testament to the value of what he creates, the interaction that happens with people contacting and connecting with him. So his goal is to post interesting articles, observations on current events or findings, which is exactly what he is doing. He's doing everything right. And if he's not writing, then he shares information that he finds and shares that with his community as well. And then the frequency, that's another question. There's the posting process, behavior, meaning what you write, what is it like, what do you put out there? And all of you have articles and information and research and thoughts and very well-founded thoughts that you can share on LinkedIn. But the frequency is the other question. Well, how often should I do this? I don't have time. It really depends. And that's one of the big words in marketing, is it depends. Depends on what you have available and what's compelling you to do this. And as I mentioned, all those benefits, those are all that professional educators have. There are lots of different benefits. If you think about what is one of the benefits that you want to have, you want to increase your exposure, or do you want to share something on a project that you really have a passion about? It really depends. So the frequency that you post is going to depend on your schedule. So sometimes for Gerhard, he says he posts almost every day. It might not be a lot. Maybe it'll be sharing something. During a break during the day, he'll check out his LinkedIn profile. one of the sayings within social media is that people used to take cigarette breaks. Now they take their social media breaks. When people, even when they're still working at home, but when people were in the office and taking a break, they would go check their Facebook profile or check their Twitter profile for information. So Gerhard's checking his LinkedIn profile to see what's going on within his professional community, but also sometimes taking a break from posting at all. That's turning off the digital instruments and distractions that we have around us, which is okay to do. Take a break. But so there's not, the point here is there is not a fixed day and time or frequency that you have to do on LinkedIn. It's more about what works for you and your schedule and what is of value that you want to share. So Gerhard's approach, he said, is low stress and adding value, which is a great way to do it. So he said that 25% of the connections who contact him are saying, I see you have, fill in the blank, or are you interested in, fill in the blank. So you're going to get a lot of people who are just soliciting. I find that to be the case, that on LinkedIn, I get people saying, well, I'm a new business, or I'm trying this, how I'd like to be able to set up a meeting with you. And I don't really pay attention to that unless it's something very compelling. But 25% of people trying to maybe get work with you, benefit, have us maybe some sort of alliance, if that it comes from a business, benefits to the students, and getting those job opportunities for graduating students as well. I saw a post on the School of Management page yesterday. I think it was about job opportunities at Red Bull. So we have the great combination here with Gerhard being a model for professionals in higher education, all of those who work with him, by elevating CLU in the School of Management, and that will help us. Our participation in LinkedIn will help elevate the School of Management, and then showcase your own expertise. Great for you, great for the school, grow your community. Excellent. These all work together and are going to help us refill that pipeline for our students, but also elevate your own expertise, or not even elevate your expertise, showcase your expertise. That's the thing, and great opportunities there. Let me see. So again, this is the summary of those benefits of how LinkedIn can work for you, and just taking one of these. Maybe you identify just one of these and use this as your goal or your guiding LinkedIn lights. So if you're going to take on, I want to network with some professional groups, just take that on and grow that. It's a matter of numbers. Just grow some groups, get in some groups and grow the number of groups you belong to. This is going to work for you. And let's see, but be discovered. I think that's really huge. I've had job opportunities. I've had lecturing opportunities, which I've taken advantage of, business affiliations, all through LinkedIn, people finding me. And I just think it's wonderful the way that works, so it can work for you too. Let me see about something else here. Okay, this is the slide that I promised that I would show you, that has the links for all the pages, the university pages and so on down the line. And at this point, I'm going to also take questions, and I also want to be able to go back to my profile to do a little bit more navigating. So any questions from the group?
I have a question.
Yes.
Can you talk a little bit about the SSI score, Terry? Because I think that would be important for everybody to understand about their SSI score and how they can evaluate how they're doing.
You mean their social media score?
Yeah, the social. I think it's called a social something index.
Oh, okay. Well, the social index, there are multiple ways to gauge it. I have to tell you what I do is I do an aggregate of all of I compare myself to other professionals. And why don't you tell me what you've done to aggregate about SS scores, because that's a little bit, I might do it a little bit more,
Sure.
more say basic than you.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you can get the score is calculated for LinkedIn. You can get a LinkedIn SSI score, and it will tell you how you rank compared with everybody else on SSI. as well as within your profession. So it's kind of a gauge to show you, here's where I am. I had my students do that, and of course, when they first start off, they're in the top 100%, right? So everybody's got more LinkedIn experience than they do. And then as they work through and they start posting things and they start making connections, their SSI score goes up. So that gives them an opportunity to show, hey, I can calculate how my SSI score, how I am, how do I compare with everybody else?
Well, I'm really glad you brought that up, Bruce, because what I've always been exposed to in LinkedIn was the personal insights, not the insights that they have for recruitment that they've started with this feature, but another one that gave you the frequency of interaction with your own profile, where it was coming from. And there used to be a company or a site called Clout, Klout, and that was what I used to use for scoring, for engagement, and influencer element. Okay. But that has evolved as well over time. So no, I'm really glad you explained that. No, because my use of, I do a lot of comparison studies with social media and LinkedIn, but it's more like business to business and not my own. Mm-hmm. So, but thank you for that. I think you're a good source for that, obviously, if you've done that.
Yeah. And again, you just Google LinkedIn SSI score. It'll take you to your.
Thank you. See, you learn something new all the time. Yeah. So thank you for that.
Okay. Yeah, no problem.
Anybody else have some questions?
Terry, I do have a question. I didn't know that I would feature so prominently in the presentation, and the thing about being almost at 10,000 contacts now. I have a lot of contacts on there, also a lot. I don't know how many, but I have a fair number of contacts who are probably just vendors, right? To reach out to me because they know that I'm in a position here where I do make decisions over budgets. So, and I'm very generous with accepting those invitations. Should I be more selective, or would your recommendation be to just keep going?
And I'm glad you brought that up, because that's one of the questions, do I have to accept connections or invitations from everybody? The answer is no. You can be selective. And what I do sometimes is I'll look at the person when I see an invitation that's come up, and I'll check them out to see, do I really want to accept this or not? And you can say, no, and so it's perfectly within your prerogative to say yes or no. My first recommendation is when you're growing your community, to say yes to just about anybody if they seem like they're legitimate, because you want to grow your connections. But then when you reach a point of when you start getting these solicitations and they get more annoying than anything else, no, then you can filter it and say, no, thank you. Good. Now, any other questions? Because I can show you this demonstration very quickly. This is the small area for a post. And then if you want to write an article, it's what they call, yes, go ahead.
There's a question in the chat from Bruce. He's asking if there's an ethical issue to accept students' invitations while you're teaching them.
Good question. I accept invitations from students all the time. I encourage them to connect with me because it's important to do. What I don't do is I will not write an endorsement for them until after they after they finish the class, so that I can see how they performed in my class. But I encourage them from the very beginning to connect, and because it's going to help them establish their professional profile, especially when recruiters are looking for students online, to hire for talent. In fact, I had a student, literally had a student in my class who's a game design developer. And while I was sitting with him in my class, developing his social media profile and portfolio, a headhunter from a gaming company contacted him on LinkedIn. So these are very real relationships and that happen. So yes to connecting with students. I recommend not endorsing them until after they finish your class to see if they deserve the endorsement or not. Okay. So, I'm here on this one page. It's called Publishing, and really it's a very basic sort of blog format when you look at it. Create a headline, you can put a picture with your information, type your story here, and then simply publish. the benefit of publishing, and this is why I wanted to show it to you, is that when you put a hashtag, like I mentioned earlier, hashtag financial advising, hashtag leadership, whatever your story is about, or multiple ones, don't forget hashtag CLU, School of Management, then when you publish, LinkedIn will then send your article to people outside your connections. So usually when you do a regular post, like through here, when you do a regular sort of message here, it goes to your connections. But when you write an article with the hashtags, it goes beyond those people. And that's what the value is of writing an article. So I want to be sure that you knew about this, so that when it's one of the best ways to maximize your knowledge, maximize this power of your expertise beyond your connections. Okay. Anyone else? I can't see. Bruce, you have a lot of good questions. Some more? Okay. So I'm just curious. I really do hope that of those of you who are here who had not connected with the School of Management and CLU profiles within the LinkedIn world ecosystem, we call it, that you will. You don't have an excuse now. You've got the links in the presentation that I'll be sending to you after we wrap up with this workshop. Gerhard, is it, should I send it back to you, or how do you want to do that?
Let me see if there are more questions. There's a lot of statements and good practices in there, right? So Charlie says that she always reaches out to students, and she actually writes recommendations after a class for the students. And about 50% of the students on average accept their contact request, her contact request. So what I do is also for contacts, right? I make it a practice when I'm at an event, I get the RSVP list for the event, and I reach out to each and every participant on the list. And I have actually a standard language, right, that I just copy paste, saying that we met here, love to connect on LinkedIn. And if it's a student or an alum, I point them to the School of Management group in that contact request.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think when you said about refilling the pipeline, it's, there has we all know that the technology shift has occurred just in simple business, I mean, being in our working remotely, and it has completely shifted over to recruitment, virtual job interviews for students, virtual meetings. I mean, everything is and we see students continuing wanting to do the remote process as well for our classes. So we're really dealing with this now, and I don't think it's going to change too much more. So this is where we need to be. One last thing, because digital natives now are not digital natives, but the millennials are now the largest employment group for people employed in the country. I mean, they've surpassed the baby boomer age group. So we're looking at Generation Z, and millennials is the largest group of employable people in the country. And that's what they do, is they live in the digital space.
And I see that Kyle has a question. Kyle, do you want to ask it?
Yeah, and I'm not sure what the right metric is, but if this is going to be a key marketing tool for us, I don't know if we should set some sort of a collective goal around, School of Management followers, or, post activity, number of times we hashtag it. But it'd be great to see if this is going to be a key marketing tool for the School of Management. It'd be great for us to set some sort of an aspiration, say by the end of the year, in my view.
I agree.
So perhaps for Terry on that one, I don't know what the most meaningful metric would be on that. Is it followers? Is it activity? What would it be?
Okay, what I've done with my clients in social media, Kyle, that's a good question, is I do a baseline. First of all, we define a goal. What is the goal we're trying to achieve? and or what's the objective or the goal is like, are we trying to increase talent acquisition, or is it a brand perception shift? Those we have to figure out a goal, and then look at what we have right now in the way of followers, engagement, and so on, and posts. Look at those and assess the things that you said, and then make a plan, a social media marketing plan of what we will be posting. You know, what kind of content will address that goal. You know, testimonials, student testimonials, those are always really big. More video, I think we could certainly use more video. You know, success stories of students who have graduated or current. What's really big with students, and this is an important recruiting element, is hearing from students who are at the school right now and what they like about it. And let the students be honest. You know, is it the teachers? Usually it's a combination of classes, social life, the element of social life, and being around other students who they can get to know from other parts of the world that make their life enriching while they're in the school, in the educational process. And especially for foreign students, to see people like themselves saying the benefits as well. So it goes into the very, you know, nitty gritty of the marketing aspect of what is it that's going to be important to these people we're talking to. Beyond what we think, we know what we want to do, but these other elements of interest, lifestyle, values, safety. Obviously, here in America, we want to say we're safe, you know, because of all the crazy things that happen here society-wise. And then how that addresses to meet that goal, that posting, the content, the regularity, and then when we start implementing that marketing plan, the content plan, then start measuring from that baseline to see how the efforts are affecting reaching that goal.
Terry, I'm glad you still have that image up of your page with one of the Austrian EMBA students. I was just blown away by how many unsolicited postings came from that Austrian cohort this year. There was a good, I would say, off the cuff, a good 30 students had posted pictures of themselves, right, thanking the university for a great education. And this was all despite the fact that it was really hard for them this year, right, to stay in the program, and they didn't even have a proper graduation ceremony this year. And yet there was a lot of enthusiasm that was very authentic. So,
absolutely, yeah.
So I think we want, right, that authenticity, but how can we encourage students, right, to actually be active and post something that's authentic without, again, getting into that ethical issue, right? I don't think we should get to a point where you go into a class and say, you get 10 extra points towards your grade if you post something nice on LinkedIn, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Right?
No, not at all. No, in this conversation, in our workshop, it's about our colleagues, all of you out there, you know, all the professors, and using LinkedIn to showcase, maybe some of you feel uncomfortable with that term, but to share your expertise, okay? It's about that. And the benefits that can come from that. It's that you know, umbrella effect. You do one thing, but there's all these other things underneath it that can happen that because of this. And so it's about you, and at least from my perspective, it's about enhancing or showing off all of you. But about giving points for following the school, no, not such a great idea. We can encourage them because you're going to be graduating. Why not be part of the Alumni Association? Or you're going to be graduating, or you're here at school. Why not connect with your professors so we can all help each other when we hear opportunity for you getting a job? You know, so that's not unethical. I think it's very enriching and nurturing, and that's what they want. That's what they need, actually. That's what they need.
That's great. Susan also posted in the chat window that our faculty profiles, you had showed one about Mike Panesis earlier. Those faculty profiles were also very popular, got a lot of impressions. And I noticed that those are ones where you not only get a lot of likes, but you also get comments from former students who said, oh yes, I remember Professor Julius, right? He was the greatest professor I ever had.
And that's not surprising because social media is social. It's about people. And that's where the relationships, you call them connections, but it's relationships. You know, they are the relationships the people, the stories about the people, the testimonials from the students, current or past, all of those make a difference when you have the human element there.
Sabith also mentioned that he has, for his program, the MPPA program, they have their own page also, or their own group on LinkedIn. Do you have any thoughts on that, Terry? I mean, we have the university page, we have the School of Management Showcase, we have the School of Management group. Are we overdoing it if we also have subgroups of programs and centers? And are we confusing our audience, or should we keep doing that?
Yeah, I think you don't want to be fragmented. It can cause too much fragmentation, I think, personally. And I think if you keep it all within the group, the School of Management group, you keep the conversation very dynamic, and there's more of a variety that people can talk about. I really recommend not doing too many groups. I think you have enough right now, or we have enough right now. And it also reduces the work volume that you have to dedicate. When you think about that. If somebody wants to head a group or spearhead a group that's separate, that's a consideration. Although the negative part of that is that person going to be around for a long time for sustainability of that group? Are they going to graduate and go away and then not, or are they going to change jobs and the group's just hanging there? So I think simpler, I always go simpler is better. What's going to be the simplest, most direct way to get your goal? So I think what you have right now works.
What about if we, have separate groups and we tag each other, right? And we share to our own pages. Is that helpful?
It is. That sharing among groups is good because it can drive traffic. If you're talking about the different parts or the different groups within the School of Management, or is that what you're talking about, Gerhard? Yeah, that helps. Oh, absolutely. Anytime you can cross promote, get a link. If you can get links to events and put those links into your posts about the other group, be it sharing events, articles, any sort of sharing that you can do is really helpful, because that'll, again, increase exposure.
I had one more question. I just wanted to mention one practice also. What I noticed is that when we have events that are, for instance, industry specific, it actually helps with attendance and visibility when you post to groups from that industry. So if I have the time, let's say we have a speaker from the automotive industry. And if I have the time, I just seek out what are the groups in the automotive industry that have a high level of membership. Then I try to get added to that group, and then I post our event posts there. And actually that drives good event attendance.
Absolutely. That's why, we're really fortunate being in the School of Management, because, like I said earlier, business is in everything. It drives everything. So, there's not really anything that we can't be a part of, or group we can't be a part of. And then to do exactly what you're doing is put it in the groups, and the more exposure you have, not just with your own post, the group post, the publications that you can do with the articles, lots of opportunity in LinkedIn to increase awareness.
Jiali has another question in the chat. Jiali, want to ask it live?
Yeah, so the question I have was that I was told that typically it's good to post on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. So I wonder if you have any thoughts on that.
What days are the best days to post? Again, it depends. I find, and it depends on the social site, because I have found that LinkedIn activity increases on Thursdays and Fridays. And the reason I say that is because I had a major client last year, and I was tracking LinkedIn specifically because they were focusing on that particular social network. And I saw how it would pop on by pop, I mean engagement would pop with the posts Thursdays and Fridays. People, I think, were at the end of the week. They were starting to wind down a little bit. Maybe they had a little time during their lunchtime to check out what was going on about their own company. And that was really important, because people were learning about their company through LinkedIn that they didn't get through other sources. So I think for LinkedIn, from my observation, it's been Thursday, Friday, and then I recommend like Monday, but like Monday afternoons, because again, it's think about time and people that people have, and you're also dealing with East Coast and global too. But I don't, during the middle of the week, there's not a lot of activity, I don't think. I've seen Thursdays and Fridays and Mondays strong on LinkedIn.
Excellent. Well, Terry, if there are no further questions, this was a great session. Even for those of us who are fairly active on LinkedIn, I think we all still learned a lot. And hopefully everybody else found it helpful as well. You'll be using LinkedIn more in the future. If we have any particular questions individually, can we reach out to you, Terry?
Absolutely. And I'm going to send in the chat the PowerPoint as PDF, so you can get a hold of me that way as well. And I really hope this was of use and value to my colleagues here.
Absolutely. Thank you, Terry. And thanks everybody who is already very active on LinkedIn. And more thanks to those of you who are now inspired enough to also try some new things there.